So what's the connection between the current year, 2024, the current Lionsgate, and the current war in the Middle East and Israel that echoed throughout the world? Welcome back to my channel. Hello, I'm Sagi. Great to have you here, brothers and sisters. So as you've well known, I went back to Israel to live between my people, the people that I grew up with, the language that I grew up with, my parents that are here. It has been amazing, challenging, definitely intensive. Life in Israel in general is intensive, and this is something that most people don't know. I'll touch on that first. I've lived in different places around the world. I have never lived the intensity that there is in Israel anywhere else. There is a certain intensity here that has to do with fear of existence, has to do with the history of the people, has to do with the fact that Israel is a place where all eyes are looking at constantly. It has been like this since the beginning of the known history. Since 3,000 years, probably even a bit more, since civilization started to form, the state of Israel wasn't a state back then, but just this piece of land was always interesting for people and for nations and for rulers especially. Why? Because it is the conjuncting land between the three continents, between Africa, between Asia, and between Europe. So back in the days when people traveled the land more than they traveled the sea, and even before they started traveling the sea, this was a major pathway that connected the three continents. And this is before, of course, the West was known to the civilization, right? The Americas. So this piece of land here always arose interest, always arose the will and the wishes of people of rulers to rule this place, because when you needed to move information, goods, anything, that pathway was here. It was natural. And even if you moved along the coastline, the entire west side of Israel is one big coastline. So this was always a major interest in people's and rulers' eyes. And whoever knows the history of Israel knows how many different rulers occupied Israel just in the last 2,000 to 3,000 years. We're talking about every major empire or ruled Israel. Byzantine, the Ottomans, the Brits, Egypt, Ashur, Greeks, Romans, right? They were all here for a certain period of time, or they were all had some sort of trying to conquer this land or conquering this land and sitting on this land. So that gives you a perspective, a different perspective, I hope, about what this land has been through. And I'm just talking about the land. And now think about the people. What the people have been through. Constantly changes of rulership. That means constant instability, constant political instability, constant insecurity, because there was always a threat. There were almost always something going on. The people of Israel know peace just during the rulership of King Solomon. That's probably it. Before and after, there's always something happening. There's always some sort of war, there's always some sort of activity, intensity. And that intensity is stroke in people's blood, in people's memory. Now you add to that the 2000 years of diaspora, where the Israelites were deported from Israel. They were known as Jews back then. Living abroad as a minority. I have done that. I have lived many years as a minority somewhere else. Meaning between people that their forefathers were in that land. People that had different culture, different religion, different looks, different behaviors, different language. Everything was different to me as a foreigner in a different country. That made assimilation and integration extremely difficult. Why? Because it involves changing who you are. It involves dropping your identity and becoming something else. And that is not something that is easy to do. We know it because this is what is happening in the world in the last several years. There's all these mixtures when refugees are coming over and students, and there's been a mixture in the last maybe 20, 30, 40 years. And that has intimidated many people because they are faced with a question of identity. Who am I? This is what we are seeing today in Europe, in Britain, even in the United States. Who am I? What makes me to the person that I am? Do I recognize myself as this or that type, from this or that type of religion, which means I am used to practice this and that, and suddenly comes a different religion with different practices and different tradition? I don't want that. This is what people are saying. I want to keep whatever my forefathers did before me. So I faced exactly those questions from an early age, from early grown-up age, let's say it like that, and I was faced with the question of identity. So I understand what is going with people nowadays. This is a crisis of identity. And today we have a special day. Today is the Lion's Gate, the 8-8, and this year there's another 8. 2024, you combine the digits and you get to another 8, which means this is a very, very special time, a conjunction, a universal conjunction and a galactical conjunction probably. There are many people who know better about those things than me. I like to speak about what is happening here on Earth. So let's stick with that. We are finding ourselves in the time of Leo. The time of Leo is the power, the willpower, the inner sun, what is also known as the solar plexus. This is what drives us. This is what motivates us. This is also where the ego resides. The ego is the one that protects.
I can't connect to your Wi-Fi network.
Sorry about that. The ego is the part of us that is responsible for maintaining and preserving our identity. This is what ego is all about. It's about taking care that our identity doesn't die, so that we can just have a normal life, right? That we can function normally, that we can continue having the memory of yesterday following us to the next day, so we can do things, so we can continue developing, so we can survive, so we can live. The ego is taking care of that, preserving the identity. But the identity must break again and again and again, because this is what evolution means. This is what means developing, becoming more than who you are. For we are always reaching a ceiling glass, right? We are all the ceiling glass. We are always reaching that, the capacity, the maximum, and then we need to develop, which means stepping out of what is enveloping us, out of our identity, and allowing something new to come to pass, to start experiencing life. So this is residing here in the solar plexus, where our willpower is. And this is manifested or symbolized by the lion, which is the king, right? The king, not the king of the jungle, because in the jungle there are no lions, but it is the king of the Saharas, the deserts, the mountains. This is definitely that type, the cat type, right? This is definitely what is ruling the animal world. This is the top predator. It's being born still with his eyes shut, so it experienced the first several weeks of its life blind, which means it has to adapt to and survive in living in darkness in a reality that also shows hostility. It makes it very keen. It makes it use hearing and sound. And nowadays we know how sound affects matter. Science finally catches up with things that the shamans know for thousands of years, that sound is the basic of this reality. Better said, vibration. Reality is vibration. Sound creates our reality. And the animal world is based mostly about hearing and about sound. This is how they hunt, this is how they protect themselves, this is how they move. Dolphins, elephants, snakes, you name it, they are all using sound. So cats, being the top predators, and the lions, they represent the top pyramid of the animal kingdom, or let's say of nature. And suddenly comes the humans, right? Which is supposed to be even above this. We are supposed to really rule this planet. It seems that we are doing a lousy job, because we bring war and devastation and climate change, and we take away, with our privileges, we take away the life territories of the animals. And this is what we are facing then. We are facing our own consequences. What we have been doing to nature, now we are facing it because we are doing it to ourselves. Human to human. This situation right now, this war in Israel that echoes throughout the world, this is the time for us to step beyond, to truly regain our power as sovereign beings, as the top of this pyramid, and rule, truly rule, with compassion, with love, with determination and compassion. Equally to all things that are below us and with us, that live with us on this planet, because we depend on them. We depend on the worms inside the earth. They are recycling the earth, and they are the ones that are responsible for the earth having its nutrition. So when the fruit and the vegetable come out that we can eat and nourish ourselves, we are depending on worms, we are depending on bees, and this entire food chain which we depend on, we need to start taking care of. Now, another interesting element to this lion's gate and the lion is that Israel and Jerusalem particularly, or let's say Jerusalem and Judah. Now, Judah is one of the tribes, of the 12 tribes, that is now represented, or the Jews, what we call the Jews or the Jewish people, they are, at the moment, they are the ones, or the last 2,000 years, they are the ones that are the descendants of the tribe of Judah. And Judah ruled the southern parts of Israel, and it has its capital in Jerusalem. So the symbol of Judah and the symbol of Jerusalem is the lion. The lion. Moreover, we are at the symbol of the number 8. 8, 2024, another 8. In tarot, when tarot is the story that is behind the scene, those cards are telling us the story behind the scene of reality in tarot. Number 8 is strength, and it depicts the lion. The lion and the human taming the lion with love, with compassion, with understanding, through touch. So this is something very interesting, what we are seeing today. I hope that today we enter a gate which will bring us finally that unity and that peace, because we as humanity need to start being more compassionate to each other and to nature. This is what will bring all of this together, when we find compassion to ourselves and allow our divinity to reside in the body, and allow the ego to transform, to let go of that certain limited identity that we have known as so far, and evolve beyond. For as long as that we continue dividing ourselves and naming ourselves as this is a Jew and the other one is Muslim, the other one is Christian, Buddhist, and so on, or an Israeli, Palestinian, German, American, Bahutani, Sudani, as long as we continue dividing us, we cannot truly live in unity and live in peace. It doesn't mean that tomorrow morning all of those concepts need to go. That should happen gradually, and we should start celebrating who we are, but with total respect and compassion to others as well. Meaning, if somebody is a Jew and an Israeli and he wants to celebrate us, he has exactly the same right to do it as the next guy, which is a Muslim Palestinian or a Christian Lebanese, right? It's about finding that inner peace and that compassion to self, and allowing the ego to dissolve and the natural evolvement to take place, and to move to the next stage of the individual and of global, meaning humanity. We are all humans. Yeah, we are all coming from Adam and Eve, from the same source. The same seed that started to develop wishes to continue developing, and we cannot hold it down and not allowing it to do that by continuing fighting certain concepts that no longer serves us. This is a crucial time for humanity, and also very exciting time for humanity, and I am very happy and excited to be here and to be in service during this time. Yeah? There's a lot for us to learn, and the willingness to learn is first to admit I don't know everything. There's still much more that I can know and learn from this beautiful reality and this beautiful nature. My neighbor, my next neighbor in the next country, I would like to know how they do things, how they celebrate, what they value, what wisdom do they hold, what capabilities makes them unique. Being excited and being interested, which is the qualities of the child. When we were children, we didn't care if the other guy was from that region or from that country, or had this type of hair or that type of skin color. That was absolutely ridiculous. What we cared for was the joy of life and learning, experiencing. And this is the time again. For many of us have done the inner work, and have evoked again the inner child and brought it back to light. And that inner child that learned to shut itself off and use concepts and figures and numbers and words to dissect and rule the world, that child finds again simplicity and go back to being above and beyond words, numbers, and figures, and being again interested in the world, happy and excited about what comes next. Thank you for being with me. Wish you all the best. Take care. Shalom.